Okay, well, this is getting over it with Bennett Foddy, and so I will be attempting to get over it with Bennett Foddy. I've never played this game before. So the truth is, let's just start with the thesis statement. The truth is that RPM is just the best Power Rangers series there is. I believe it's series 18. I could be wrong. It's in that range, though. It's in the ballpark. And it was based on the Japanese series Super Sentai or whatever. I don't know if I forget what it's called. But it was Go Onger, something like that. And that one was really weird. And that one even had the Zords talk. For some reason, I guess Japanese people are just off the goop. But RPM for the English, for the American audiences. Okay, well, I'm washed up. They really took a different route. And that is to say, RPM is pretty much the most serious and dark Power Rangers series that there is. And it's interesting to see that mixture, since Power Rangers is so much not a serious thing. So you get these interesting moments a lot where you will have serious characters, or decently serious characters, talking about very serious concepts. Okay, I totally mixed that up. There will be serious, okay, people talking about silly things seriously. Like there's an episode with Dr. K after she reveals herself, like a few episodes into the series, and she is having like an open Q&A where the Rangers can ask questions about the Ranger technology. And it's like a fourth wall break almost. Ziggy brings up, well, he's the Green Ranger. He brings up the fact that there's always giant explosions behind the Rangers after they morph. But we didn't know that that was really canonical in the universe of the Rangers, because we see a lot of random animations for morphing and transitions and things like that. So I'm actually going to skip the left portion. I'm going to try and do this shortcut. It'll take a couple tries. Anyways, since Dr. K in-universe designed that technology, she doesn't see anything wrong with it. But it's kind of a good comic moment to just showcase the, I don't know, it's almost like a ironic juxtaposition of themes, but I really respect it. I think it's actually pretty brave. Although I can imagine how some people would see it as like a failure or some kind of mistake or misinterpretation of Power Ranger themes. I thought it was a breath of fresh air. Let's see. I also want to talk about the bio field. I don't think it's the biosphere. I think it's the biofield. Bro, I'm gonna lose it. And so essentially, how the Power Rangers RPM technology works, the morpher, what do they call it? Well, the Rangers aren't called like Red Rangers. It's like Ranger Operator Series Red is what he's called. That's Scott Truman. And so because all the Power Rangers series have to have animals as their Zords, essentially, they are taking those animals like they have some kind of weird spiritual power that they're drawing from in the biofield. I kind of don't mind it, even though it's a really weird concept that gets brought up a lot, because the enemy of the series is Venjix, of course, and he's all artificial. He's software, and so all of his attack bots are different generations, different models, different upgrades, and they're always like reusing parts. And so it's kind of an interesting contradiction as well to have the very utilitarian kind of robotic antagonists and the organic kind of like the Force, essentially from Star Wars type of protagonists. Man, this is not going great. Woo! Anyways, the finale of the season even really goes pretty deep into how the biofield works, and the interaction between what is essentially the Force and the software. Avengix. This is really bad. Good grief. I've never struggled this much. I mean, it's my first time playing, so it's, you know, it's pretty hard. Avengix is able to hack into the biofield somehow, and he's actually able to delete Zords and even Rangers just out of existence, which is a really wild narrative route to go by. But it kind of gives some insight into how Dr. K is able to tie in the Ranger hardware to the biofield. They also touch on this when they unlock the Paleomax Megazord because they're using extinct DNA to power the Zords. So there's a little bit more context there, but it's a funny idea that's brought up quite a bit. And I feel like it's a little misplaced. Okay, I gotta lock in. This is so sad. Okay, I need to jump from here, and I'm gonna go straight up and grab the ledge. And then I got a weird angle, bro. This is why I can't speedrun this game. It's because it's my first time playing, and I don't know how any of this goes. There we go. Anyways, I don't love the biofield. It's a little bit more like a Jungle Fury or Mystic Force idea, but I suppose maybe it's just a Power Rangers universal trope that they couldn't afford to abandon. There are a lot of tropes that are in RPM, but I think they're actually seeing some of their better usages in RPM. Like generally there's some kind of hint at like inter-ranger romance, especially near the end of the season. There was a little bit of that in Mystic Force, I believe. I think the Blue and Red Ranger kind of got together by the end. Of course, note that the Blue Ranger in that season was not a dude, so, you know. I think, I'm trying to remember if there was any of that in Samurai, but it's been a while, so I can't recall. I don't think there was any in Megaforce, so maybe they phased it out. I'm not sure. Anyways, the Yellow and Black Ranger have a romance in RPM, and it's pretty nice. It's pretty good. It's actually hinted at a lot, and I think it's pretty satisfying to see it all conclude in the finale. Let's see. I'm trying to think about what else is unique about RPM. Oh, I guess there's the big twist, so, you know, if you're watching this far, there's spoilers here. So Tanaya 7 is actually, she's played by Adelaide Kane, and she is actually Dylan's sister. The side note here is that, oops, that's not great. Oh well. The side note is that Dylan is not actually his real name. He never in the series learns what his real name is or was before he was captured, because he's a Avengix prisoner who was injected with some goop that made him a hybrid, so he's like a cyborg. But it could just be reversed by medicine at the end, so it's not like a very serious ailment, thankfully. Although he does have some like schizo outbreaks throughout the season. Yeah, but I think it was like maybe the first or second episode when Dylan and Ziggy are just having weird prison drama, and that was a shame. You know what? Enough of you. I think it's actually the first episode where Ziggy's like, I don't know what to call you, and then Dylan's like, okay, just call me Dylan because you're retarded. And then it sticks. So, but that's a big twist. About 75% of the way through the season is that Tanaya is actually Dylan's sister. And there's a little bit of a red herring in that Dylan remembers his sister is blind and Tanaya obviously is not. But clearly that was just, wow, that's interesting. Oops. Clearly Venjix just enhanced her, and so in being a cyborg she got her eyesight back, and that's kind of neat. which there are some loose ends in the finale, but funny enough, they touch on that. They actually cure Tanaya of her cyborg disease, and then the implication there is that her eyesight will fade over time, and then Dr. K just says like, oh, you know, your implants are holding fine for now, but maybe not forever, but we'll see. Which doesn't inspire a lot of hope, but it's kind of a funny detail that they would even include that line to begin with. There's some, I feel like, all the Rangers have pretty good backstories of how they became Rangers, but the weakest is probably Ziggy's, unfortunately, because he is a good character and he's one of the more likable Green Rangers in the seasons that I've seen. But his story is so weird. It's like he was working for like a mafia boss named Fresno Bob, and Fresno Bob trusted him with some crazy job where he had to deliver like $5 million worth of medical supplies to somewhere within Corinth, and then Ziggy stole it and gave it to like an orphanage instead, some like Catholic orphanage. But I'm trying to think about how, like, it was a truck full of just like bandages and stuff, and it's $5 million? I just can't, that's very hard to grasp. And then late in the season, Fresno Bob gets attacked by some grinders, and then Ziggy saves him, and then Fresno Bob just walks into their shop and says, oh, you know what? Ziggy, you're off the hook. My life is worth $5 million, and so now we're even? Okay, well, I feel like that's a little silly, in my opinion. But I guess we got that wrapped up as well. Let's see. Yeah. I feel like I would have liked to know a little bit more about Gem and Gemma and how they came to be. I guess they were part of Dr. K's origin story. They were at Alphabet Soup with her, and they were the first Rangers. I can't remember exactly. I think it might be a trope that the Gold and maybe Silver Rangers are generally older, like legacy Rangers compared to the standard colors. Because the Solaris Knight in Mystic Force was like an old Ranger. He was a friend of Udana before the current generations. But I don't think that's true for Antonio in Samurai. I think he was just some schmuck who walked in and then they gave him the, the morpher. I don't even remember hardly anything about him besides he's just made a bunch of fishing jokes all the time. Yeah, but everyone got good developments. Really nice narrative structure. Like, I think the first one or two episodes being like great hooks is so awesome, and then we get introduced to the characters later on. So it's actually a non-linear narrative progression, which I think is really unique for a Power Rangers season. So you get these episodes that are focused specifically on the Rangers. Actually, Summer's the only one who gets 2 episodes dedicated to her story, which I think is a little bit unnecessary since her story is not hugely more interesting than anyone else's. Let's see. Yeah, and I don't think you get... I don't think you get an extra episode for... I think Dylan's the only one who doesn't have extra episodes for his own personal backstory, since a lot of that is just revealed throughout the season. I feel like his archetype generally would be the Red Ranger, since the Red Rangers are kind of these angsty guys who are unsure about their past. Like, that to me is what... I can't remember his name, but the Red Ranger, the Red Mystic Force Ranger, he was kind of like Dylan's character type. Yeah, but Dylan's story, he's really, like, Scott is great, but I think Dylan is like the big protagonist of the series. Oh gosh, 11 minutes. Good grief, I'm so washed up. Let's see. I guess I want to talk about the villain design a little bit. Oh yeah, and also the fight choreography. Okay, I got some stuff to say about this. Okay, the villain design is so silly. Venjix is such an evil guy. He's like one of the most evil dudes ever. He actually, like, near the end game, he just, yeah, he's out for blood. No joke. But he's so stupid when it comes to monster designs. It'll just be like, I've made the most fearsome monster yet. It's like a toilet plunger on legs or something. It's like, dude, what on earth could you possibly hope to? And the only reason they have any success ever is for whatever stupid reason. Corinth just keeps their doors open all the time. Like, late in the season, General Crunch and Shifter and Tanaik just walk in the door, and then the Rangers, the alarm goes off. It's like, oh, Vengex is in sector, whatever. Dude, just lock the door. I can't believe no one... I have no idea why that is the thing that they never attempt to fix. But it's so bad even that, like, the main control center of Corinth that's, like, hanging above the very highest part of the dome, Vengex just walks in there. There's like 2 guards that he, I don't know, kills or something. No, they're hybrids that he hijacks, which, by the way, that was never resolved in the finale, unfortunately. It's kind of implied that they got cured by Dr. K's special serum. But, yeah, they gotta just close the doors. Like, when it's time for the Rangers to get inside, they make all this big drama about, like, oh, you gotta get in this tiny window or you're going to get burned alive by random fire, or everything's going to lock down and then you'll be trapped outside in the wasteland. But when the Vengex people just come in, they're like, hey, doors open. Sometimes it's like a small garage door and it's opening like right as they're strolling in. It's like motion activated or something. It's so once you start paying attention to that, that's actually pretty sad, and I feel like that ruins a little bit of the enjoyment, but yeah, that's a pretty funny detail. Oh, come on, dude. Oh, that's so cheap. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So I feel like the villain design is a little silly. It's at least consistent. Some seasons of Power Rangers have villains that just, it's like anything goes. It's just whatever random nonsense they could think of. Like Megaforce, they had like undersea bug aliens, and then they had like the Armada or something. So it was like space alien, like bug. I don't know, man. And then Samurai was a little better, but still a lot of their stuff was pretty wacko. It was kind of like vaguely animal themed. But then they just had the dude named Megatron who just insults people's insecurities and then they blow up. Let's see. Yeah, so I don't love the monsters in RPM. They never talk either, which I think is a little bit of a bummer. I kind of like them having some character. Although not too much. I feel like there's a significant amount of characters in Jungle Fury that are trying to have too much character, and they just are so bad. Oh, man. But let's not get started on that. Let's see. Yeah. And I also feel like Tanaya is not very threatening. I think she's only really redeemable because she has some important part to play. But she's not very threatening. The fight choreography. Okay. I think the Megazord fights in RPM are actually really remarkably good, especially since there are so many full Zord configurations that require so little Rangers. So right off the bat with yellow, blue, and red, you have the high octane Megazord, which has the I can't remember what it's called, but it has a sword built into it. So it's just that's your standard like core Ranger group, and they have a sword, and it's just that's your basic go-to configuration. And then once black and green come on the scene, then either one of them can be like a special weapon. And so the Wolf Zord or the Shark Zord can either be like the Rocket Blaster or the like the Tailspin attack, which are both pretty cool. But then they get the Croc Carrier, and then black and green can make their own Zord configuration just by themselves without the Core 3, which is the Valvemax Megazord, with both the special weapons that the High Octane can have. Then when Gem and Gemma come along, they have like a tiger and a hawk or something. It's 2 flying ones. And so I think they can technically fit onto the High Octane Megazord. I know they have no connectivity potential with the Valve-Max. The Valve-Max is just said and done. But then they get the oh, what is it called? It's the whale ship, and so Gem and Gemma can combine with the whale to make the Mach Megazord. It's like the arrow. Oh no, yeah, and so they can have this flying Zord with like a giant bow and arrow. So that's 3 now: High Octane, Valve-Max, and Mach. And then the Mach Megazord can combine with oh yeah, so either the Mach Megazord or the Valve-Max Megazord can combine with the High Octane Megazord. And I forget what they're called. Yeah, oops. Yeah, I can't really remember. I think the Mach Megazord combination with the High Octane is the Aero Max Megazord, something like that. Oh, I remember. It's the Zenith Megazord is the Valve-Max and the High Octane, and that's like the big one at the time. That's with all of them. And I don't think the Valve-Max and Mach and High Octane can all combine together until after the Paleomax and the Road Attack Sword. So the Road Attack Sword is just a robot. It doesn't even need a pilot. They just they just have it in their pocket, and then it can just, you know, do judo kicks and stuff. It likes to do kicks a lot. It's kind of not that interesting. But then they get the Paleomax, which can be piloted by Red alone. And so now you can technically have like 5 different Zord combinations. There's the High Octane, which can only be piloted... I mean, you can pilot it with only 2 people. So Red doesn't even have to be there, even though his Eagle Zord is like the main part. It's whatever, I guess. So you have High Octane, Valve-Max, Mach, let's see. Yeah, Road Attack, which is the big wheel, not to be confused with Spider-Man. And, let's see. Yeah, and so eventually you can get them all together. Wow, that was crazy. You see that jump? You can get them all together to be the RPM Ultra Zord. I think I'm not missing anything. Yeah. And that thing is crazy. That thing doesn't even move. It just like blasts out waves of aura, and then everything disintegrates. It's also huge. I guess that goes without saying, but it has like a lot of shock value when monsters are just standing there waiting for it to all combine, and then it is just standing there. They will like jump back in fear. It's kind of hilarious. And so there's a couple episodes near the ends that really take advantage of those separate combinations. It's near the end of when General Shifter is exiled and he's trying to take control. He's actually trying to do a mutiny over Venjix. He's going to destroy the Rangers, and then Venjix, arguably, I would say... Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I was going to say, I think Crunch got closer to defeating the Rangers than Venjix himself did, but that's not really true, because Venjix actually killed 2 Rangers. Of course, temporarily. But the point still stands. General Crunch was able to hijack the Paleomax Megazord, and so there's a fight scene of General Crunch's special robots. I hate this slope. It was like a dinosaur robot that he was he was controlling the Paleomax, and he had this like gorilla type guy. And so it was like 2 Ranger Zord configurations fighting, and then in the backgrounds, the Shifter bots. It was so cool. It was like there's really big wide shots of 2 duels going on at once. That was really, like, I saw that, I was pogging out. That was great stuff. Really creative, really fun usage there. I also think there is some good fight choreography just on the ground. However, I gotta say, the shaky camera is so evil in RPM. It just, sometimes they're twisting the camera so bad, it will be like literally 90 degrees away from horizontal, and then it'll just jerk all the way back over to the other side, and so you just get this 180-degree whiplash, and for that time, you can't see anything, so it's a little bit of a shame. The Rangers do have really cool abilities for movement. Like, they can spin around and, like, kind of imitate cars in that way. Like, they can have burnouts and they can, like, drift on their own shoes. So that's kind of sick. Um, but yeah, the shaky camera is just kind of evil. Bro, okay, that's also evil. I was so close there. Um, I guess that's about all I have to say. I'm thinking back on the whole series, and honestly, one of the high points is like episode 2, when Ziggy and oh, I forgot to mention the Ziggy and Dr. K romance. That didn't really get a whole lot of attention, but it did exist. In like the last 3 episodes, they really talked about it. Um, yeah, that was a really sweet moment when they were trying to find Dr. K's passwords to her computer, and they were guessing all these stupid things, just like Power Ranger. And then they had one try left, and they said like, "Well, we did all the things you'd expect, so it has to be something you wouldn't expect." And then Summer thought back to all the times that Dr. K was like shunning Ziggy, and then it all clicked for her that the Dr. K actually liked Ziggy. And so then she typed in the password when no one was looking, and it worked. And so Summer being the only, I guess Gemma was there, so it's a little bit unfair. But Gemma's also kind of mentally handicapped. But it was nice that Summer knew that. I thought that was a nice touch. And then of course Summer kept the secret for Dr. K, so that was extra sweet. Anyways, there's an episode real early on of Ziggy and Dylan in jail, and Ziggy's like getting threatened by all the mob people, and there's a fight scene where they're fighting over Jello, and Dylan like gets the last serving of special like strawberry Jello, and then everyone's attacking him, and he's like fighting off 100 people, well more like 10, but he's holding the tray of Jello. Sometimes he'll like toss it in the air so he can use his other hand and then catch it. I've seen all the John Wick movies. I think I know them pretty well. That is some fun choreography. I love the Jello fight scene. I think that's kind of goated. Where am I? I don't remember Diogenes floating around that much. Yeah, so I think you get really great character moments. I think the characters are all really fleshed out pretty well, except for Gem and Gemma, which are a little bit weak. They're fairly shallow. But Dr. K is great. I think her relationship to Venjix himself and that grief, that regret is really strong. There's just a foundation of so many strong ideas and emotions, like Dylan's missing past and Dr. K's regrets and her secrets and I just think there's so much more emotional merit in RPM compared to other series, and I think the stakes are a lot higher, and I think the villains are a lot more evil. It's just it's a really good mix of stuff, and I really wish I had the Paleomax Megazord just to like go to school in the morning, because that thing is really awesome. And I'm also glad I have locks on my door so that Venjix doesn't just walk in and then delete me from existence. Um, yeah, so I guess you should watch it, and then watch it again, and then you should think about it, and think about why it's the best, and why I'm right. And then you should also play Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, because it's also a really great piece of media here. And yeah, you should just get over it, and then get in gear. Okay, that's it from me.